Hi, I'm Mike, and I'm here to show you how to play Suspicion, a game of secret identity and deduction from Gather Round Games. In Suspicion, you are a jewel thief exploring Baron Whitetooth's mansion. During the game, you'll steal gems, deduce the identities of the other players, and try to keep your own identity a secret. At the end of the game, you'll earn points for correctly guessing other players' identities and for each gem you've stolen, as well as bonus points for sets of gems. The player with the most points is the winner. To set up the game, randomly place one guess mover in each of the 10 outer rooms on the game board. Then create 3 stacks of gems near the board, one of each color. The number of gems you place in each stack is determined by the number of players in the game. Shuffle the invitation cards and give one to each player. This card is your secret identity. Look at your card and then keep it hidden until the end of the game. Place the remaining invitation cards in a face-down deck. Shuffle the action cards and deal 2 to each player. Put the rest in a face-down deck. Give each player a yes card, a no card, a pencil, and a deduction sheet. Each player writes the names of their opponents on their deduction sheet, one name per row. Now you're ready to play. Players will take turns clockwise around the table. Each turn has 2 phases. The first phase is movement. Roll both dice and move each guest that you've rolled through a doorway into an adjacent room. You must move both guests that you rolled, and guests cannot move diagonally. If you roll a question mark, you can move any guest for that die. You can even move a guest shown on the other die again. And if you roll 2 question marks, you can move any 2 guests once, or you can move any 1 guest twice. Once the guests have been moved, the action phase begins. Take a look at your 2 action cards and select one to play. You must perform both actions on the card. Once you've completed both actions, discard and draw a new action card. This ends your turn. Now let's go over actions and what information each will reveal. With the room robbery action, you get to steal a gem, but only if it appears in the room in which you are located. My identity is Lily Nesbitt, so I could take a blue gem or a yellow gem. If I decide to take a blue gem, then the other players would know that I am in a room with a blue gem. On their deduction sheets, they could cross off all of the guests that are not in a room with a blue gem. With the Lucky Lift action, you get to take a gem of the color shown, even if you're not in a room with that colored gem. This is definitely a stroke of luck, since you get a gem and it doesn't reveal anything about your identity. With the Peek at an Invitation action, you get to look at the top card of the invitation deck without showing it to anyone else, and then put it on the bottom of the deck. You can mark off the identity you saw on every row of your deduction sheet, since you know that none of the other players can be that guest. With the Secret Passageway action, you can move any 1 guest to any room in the mansion. You may want to move yourself to get into a room with a gem you want, or you may want to move another guest to deflect suspicion or set up the board to question another player. With the Question a Player action, you'll select another player and ask them if their guest can see the guest shown on your action card. To answer, they'll secretly pass you one of their yes or no cards, so that only you know the answer to the question. Guests can see other guests if their movers are in the same room, row, or column. For example, if you ask a player if they can see Buford Barnswallow, and they answer yes, you know that they must be in the same room, column, or row as Buford. If their identity is Buford, they must still answer yes, as guests can always see themselves. You could then note on your deduction sheet that they can't be orange, brown, red, or white, since those guests can't see Buford. The game ends immediately when the last gem in any one of the stacks is taken. When this happens, all players will circle their best guess for each of the other players' identities on their deduction sheets. Then everyone flips over their invitation card to reveal their identity. You get 7 points for each other player you correctly identify, 6 points for each gem set you collect, and 1 point for each remaining gem. So in this game, I would have scored 7 points for correctly guessing one other player's identity, 12 points for 2 gem sets, and 2 points for the remaining 2 gems, for a total of 21 points. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. Now let's go over some tips for playing. To adjust the length of the game, you can increase or decrease the number of gems you place in each stack when you set up the game. Just be sure that all 3 stacks have the same number of gems. It's a good idea to decide which action card you're going to play before moving guests, so that you can make your moves strategically. In this example, if you plan on using the room robbery action, you'll want to check how many of the other guests are also in rooms with the gem color that you want. In order to give away less information about your identity, you can use your movement phase to move guests into rooms with the gem color you're going to take, or you may want to take a gem color you already have. Throughout the game, be sure to check that you are performing actions correctly and answering questions accurately. If you are doing the room robbery action, be careful to only take a gem color if your guest is in the same room as that color. When using the question a player action, choose carefully which opponent to ask. Make sure you'll gain new information about the player you're asking, no matter which way they answer. And when answering questions, don't forget to use the yes and no cards. Only the player who performed the action gets to know your answer. If you say the answer out loud, then you'll be revealing information to all of your opponents when you don't have to. Thanks for joining me on learning how to play Suspicion.